Southeast Asia correspondent Samantha Hawley has been watching the crisis unfold in Bangkok. Sam, what does the Prime Minister's decision to stand firm mean? In practical terms, can the election actually go ahead on Sunday?
Well, practically it can go ahead and it will go ahead according to the Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. That's the decision that was made this afternoon here in Bangkok. So the poll will go ahead, but as we saw last weekend when pre-polling was underway, advanced polling, there was a lot of trouble, of course. Anti-government protesters did all they could to block voters from exercising, I guess, their right to vote, and they succeeded. Across Bangkok, 47 of the 50 pre-polling booths were shut down, and that certainly, I think, gives us an indication at what we might be looking at heading into Sunday's election.
Opposition leader and former Prime Minister Abhisit Bhattacharya told me yesterday that if the Prime Minister insisted on having the election on Sunday, there would be more violence. Is he right?
Well, all indications are that there will be more violence. Again, this afternoon we saw gunshots fired into a protest crowd. A crowd had gathered outside the meeting that the Prime Minister was having with the Election Commission, and one person was injured there. The death toll is rising. We're now looking at 11 dead since the hostilities began in October, and something like almost 600 people have been injured. So all signs are that the violence will continue. Of course, we've got to remember here, Jim, that the opposition isn't actually participating in this poll. The opposition will not be represented on Sunday. And not only that, the anti-government protesters, the protesters who've lined the streets below me now for 16 days, they don't want this election to take place.
In the wake of this meeting, the government is suggesting that the Election Commission also agreed that the election should not be postponed. Is that right, given the misgivings the Commission has had and made public about going ahead on Sunday?
Well, I think in the end of the meeting an agreement was reached that the election should go ahead, but certainly the Election Commission, the commission that will oversee this election, went into that meeting arguing that it should not proceed. They were arguing that it should be delayed by 3 to 4 months because the country is too unstable to hold an election right now. So they forcefully put that argument to the Prime Minister this afternoon. Clearly, she's rejected that and said that the election must go ahead.
To what extent has the Prime Minister brought all this trouble on herself with the provocative decision late last year, to seek an amnesty which would enable her brother Thaksin Shinawatra to return to Thailand without anything following from the convictions that have already been imposed upon him?
Well, many people see this whole situation, the chaos we see in Thailand once again, as a result of Prime Minister Yingluck's own hand. She brought this on herself. They see it on all sides as a miscalculation by the Prime Minister to introduce the amnesty bill that you mentioned there, that would have seen her brother pardoned and been able to return to this country without facing any jail time for corruption. So it's not only people from the opposition that think it was a miscalculation by her, it's actually people within her own party that have been critical of that decision.
Southeast Asia correspondent Samantha Hawley in Bangkok.